Hi, I'm Teo. I'm Noah's father. We stayed in the NICU for 128 days. He was born at 24 weeks.
I'm Jared. I'm Ollie's father. He was in NICU for 97 days.
Hi, I'm the father of Brady Wood, who was born at 25 weeks.
It was it was a really scary experience because mom was in horrible pain, and I didn't know if the baby was even gonna survive. I mean, I had no idea. I remember in the middle of everything, in the middle of talking to her mom, to talking to her, I Googled, can a 24-week baby survive? And Google's answer was, it's a 50-50. At around 7:40, I had somebody come in, and I asked them, do you know when the ambulance is going to be here? We've been waiting for about an hour and a half now. She's having contractions every 2 minutes now. And they said, I don't know, I'm going to go find out. So he went to the doctor or to whoever, and then he came back about 20 minutes later. I was super mad. And when he came back, he said, there's no ambulance available to take her until midnight. At that moment, I took control. I told him, we are leaving. We're getting out of here. She's bleeding. She's yelling. She's like screaming in pain, everything. I told him, we are leaving. I don't care what happens. We are leaving. So the doctor comes in, tries to ignore me and go to her and tell her why she shouldn't leave. And then she looked at me like, talk to this guy. And so I told the doctor, I was like, I don't care what you say. I'm not waiting until midnight to take her to the hospital, mostly not when you had guys haven't been able to control her pain, control the bleeding, nothing. So he brought the paper, she signed it. We put her on a wheelchair. I had her mom park the car outside, wheeled her to the car, and I drove as fast as I could to the other hospital. That was at around 8:40, 8:50. Baby was born at 9:36. So if we would have stayed at that hospital, the other doctor at the other hospital said if we would have been 5 more minutes late, neither of them would have made it.
Those first moments of walking with the NICU team over to the NICU area and finding out what that place felt like while my wife was in recovery, and similar to what Teo said, asleep because of what she'd just gone through, and feeling a very strong guilt that I was the first one touching his hand and looking at him, and we hadn't finalized his name, but I was saying, "Hey, Ollie." It was just a very intense start to it, and I remember when we were able to, when had recovered enough and she was able to be wheeled over there and see him for the first time. It's when I truly started to feel a sense of, I wouldn't say comfort, but a little bit more prepared to go through it as a team. And from there, it was a mixed variety of incredible support I got. One of my cousins has been a long-time NICU nurse, and she reached out immediately offering her support, giving me resources for finding support of myself. And it was an up and down journey. We were there for 97 days, but by the end of it, we made friends with other parents that had their kids in there. We made friends with the nurses and the doctors. And although I would never like to do it again, I am grateful for the challenge.
I don't think we ever really got to grieve the whole experience and the loss. I think we were thrown into this experience, and every day was just changing so much and rapidly that you didn't have time to breathe, let alone think about all those things. And I think as has gone on, I think my wife and I have both taken two separate approaches to the experience and kind of grieving and getting through it and processing it.
Understanding what's happening with fathers in the NICU is really important. So one study that we did was we looked at cortisol levels or hormone levels in saliva. So we asked dads to spit into a tube and moms to spit into a tube when they were in the NICU and when they went home. And what we found when we measured that, and no one had done that with dads before, was that moms had high levels of stress in the NICU and high levels when they went home after discharge. Dads had high levels in the NICU, and when they went home, when they were spitting in the tube, their hormone levels of cortisol actually increased. No one had done that study before, but it really shows us that for many dads who are stressed in the NICU, they go home and are stressed as well. And we haven't really thought about that, how we help them in the discharge home. We've also done studies looking at the mental health of dads in the NICU and found that while moms start out higher, they actually will decrease over the course of the NICU in the sample that we did. Dads pretty much stay the same. Because we're not really thinking about them, and oftentimes social work has limited resources, and they're going to focus on the mom in those cases. So at the same time, we also know dads are trying to balance how do they take care of their partner, how do they take care of their baby, and how do they take care of themselves so they can bring their best self to the NICU as well. So I'm kind of talking a little bit about the difficulties that dads come across, but it's the unbelievable commitment that these dads have to their baby, to their partner, to understanding what in the world is going on. How do I advocate for my baby, and how can I be the best dad that I can be? I started the NICU Dads group because we do such a good job in these hospitals that we all are coming from of taking care of moms and taking care of babies, but we really aren't quite sure what to do about dads. Like, who is that guy on the unit who keeps walking around in here and we're not quite sure what to do about that. So we started the NICU Dads group really to say, because we didn't want any dad to leave our unit without someone saying, how are you doing, right? How are you doing in this journey? And the commitment of these dads is really remarkable, thrown into this crazy world with a completely different language, a completely different way of acting.